Peter Parker visits the tomb of his former high school bully, Flash Thompson, who was sadly killed in the Vietnam War 3 years ago. Peter had also considered joining, but Captain America changed his mind. Many things have changed in the past 3 years. Norman Osborn was exposed as the Green Goblin and incarcerated, while his son, Harry, took over his father's business. Peter's personal life was going well. He was married to Gwen Stacy, who worked as a biologist for their former university professor, Miles Warren. But even though things were going great, Peter couldn't help but feel guilty for not trying to stop Flash from joining the war. Peter was also working for Reed Richards, and the two of them often had heated debates, especially about the Vietnam War. Superheroes had recently joined the war effort, helping the United States turn the tide, but Mr. Fantastic didn't think this was a good idea. Peter believed that superheroes, above everyone else, had a moral responsibility to help and the power to do so. Otto Octavius interrupted the tension by bringing everyone coffee. Peter still couldn't believe he was now colleagues with him. But after Otto had a heart attack, he became a different person and realized that he could better use his talents to help people rather than accumulating wealth and power. Meanwhile, Harry visited his dad in prison, but Norman was as cold and indifferent to him as always. Even though Harry had done an amazing job running Oscorp, Norman told his son about the Gemini Project, saying it was out of control and needed Harry's help before it was lost. He blamed Spider-Man for ruining his life, warning that he could interfere with the project again. But if that happened, Norman had one more secret to tell Harry. Peter visited his wife at work and complained about his ongoing conversations with Reed Richards. Gwen told him to focus on the amazing work they were doing together and forget about the rest. Professor Warren greeted Peter and offered him a job, but Peter declined, saying biology wasn't his strong point. The night was still young, and Peter was invited to the opening of a new club in the city. Not even the Rhino, Craven, or the Lizard scared him as much as the thought of going dancing. His friend Harry, now married to Mary Jane, had invited him. Mary Jane was happy to see him and offered him something to drink, while her husband, having had too many, was sleeping on the couch. When Peter asked if everything was okay, it triggered Mary Jane. She angrily said Harry was fine and that they couldn't all be perfect like Peter. They got into a heated argument, and she blamed him for Flash Thompson's death, saying Peter could have stopped him from going to Vietnam. She had known he was Spider-Man ever since they were neighbors. She knew Peter had the power to change Flash's mind but didn't do anything, and now Flash was dead. The next day at work, Peter and Reed had another heated debate, this time about the amazing technologies Reed refused to share with the world. Peter thought everyone could benefit from access to advanced technology, but Reed believed it would disrupt many industries, cause people to lose their jobs, and do more harm than good. Peter called him inhuman, saying even Reed's wife couldn't stand him anymore and left him for a man who lives under the sea. This prompted Reed to slap Peter, and even though Peter's spider sense warned him the slap was coming, he let it happen, knowing he deserved it. Spider-Man left the building and headed to Cipro Genesis, hoping Professor Warren's job offer was still on the table, but something was wrong. While Gwen and the professor were talking, someone broke in. It was the Black Goblin, saying they had business to conclude. Professor Warren begged for their lives and tried to talk, but the Goblin said his benefactor, the one who paid for all of this, wanted what was promised. Luckily, Spider-Man arrived just in time and knocked the Goblin down with a powerful punch, demanding to know what he was doing there. The Goblin offered to show him and threw one of his grenades toward a wall. A powerful explosion knocked everyone down, and the professor jumped to protect his assistant. The explosion revealed something amazing that left them all in shock. 3 clones were being created in the next room, one of Peter Parker, one of Norman Osborn, and one of Gwen Stacy. Harry took off his mask and grabbed the professor, saying there was supposed to be only one clone, of his father. He realized that Norman had ordered the creation of a Peter Parker clone as well. Norman wanted Peter to be his heir, even if it meant replacing him with a clone. Gwen was shocked to see herself inside the glass container and asked, "Why me?" Before the professor could answer, Harry attacked Spider-Man, furious that his father wanted Peter as his heir. He pulled off Peter's mask, revealing that he already knew his secret identity, and continued the attack. Meanwhile, Gwen ran down the stairs, with the professor following behind, trying to explain. Harry accused Peter of sending his father to prison, but Peter explained that Norman was insane and had been put away before he could hurt anyone else. Harry agreed and did something drastic. He threw 2 grenades into the lab, intending to destroy the clones, and succeeded. The entire top floor of the building exploded into flames. This caused Professor Warren to burst into tears. Gwen told Peter to try and rescue the clones because they were living beings. Spider-Man rushed inside, dodging the flames, but sadly, he was too late. 2 of the clones were killed in the explosion, and there was nothing he could do. but one of the clones was still breathing, his own clone. The professor wanted to go back inside to save Gwen, but Peter blocked the entrance, saying it was too dangerous. Warren finally came clean, revealing a shocking truth. The clone of Gwen Stacy was actually the real Gwen. He had kept her sedated and released the clone to live her life, all because he was madly in love with her and wanted the real Gwen for himself. Peter couldn't believe what he heard and rushed inside again, trying to save his wife. But it was too late. She was already dead. 1 year later, Mary Jane exited Peter's apartment building, while the two clones, Peter's and Gwen's, waited for her. The clones had fallen in love and wanted to move away and start a new life together. They even had all of their host's memories. Mary Jane returned inside to talk to Peter, but he wasn't himself anymore. He was furious that everyone else had gotten a happy ending but him. Even she had gotten the life she always wanted. After the incident, Harry disappeared, and she was left with the Osborn fortune. But what about Peter Parker? What about his life? Peter began to cry, saying he had nothing left. But Mary Jane comforted him, saying it wasn't true, and gave him a hug.